And you got me that way, and I'm wondering if I came on too strong, walking side by side and back.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Blue Collar Business Podcast. We are here for episode 19.
19?
This week, I'm going to be talking about my side of the story.
We're
talking about me. Yeah, talking about how I started my business and a little bit of the story. I've talked a lot about it, but not like details. And just, I thought it'd be good to do a deep dive of why I started it, where I started it from, and just get into all of that. So let's start with our first segment of the show.
All right.
So, Grant, what have you been working on this week, or last week, or the week before?
Yeah, I was working at someone's house. I went there to fix like one leak and like help hook up a gas line, and ended up being there for like 3 days doing other stuff. While I was there, I was walking past their like gas meter, and I could smell gas.
Oh no!
So I had to help them find a gas leak. They brought someone from Southwest Gas to replace their meter. So it just seemed like I ended up doing a lot more than what I came out there for. But it was good.
You found the leak. I didn't know you could do that. Is that new for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this technique before. I mean, I don't know. It was fairly effective, but you just like fill up a spray bottle with water and soap, and then you just spray it on there and look for bubbles.
You found it?
And it worked, yeah. I mean, I could smell it. That's the only reason I noticed it.
Okay.
I could smell it walking by, so. Anyway, and I just did some other repairs.
If you had lit a match right next to the leak, would it have like blown up the house?
I don't think natural gas is like that volatile, so
okay.
I don't think that would happen.
Just curious.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not good to have a gas leak. But luckily, I mean, it was outside. So.
Yeah.
And then I was fixing like a sink. I had to like fix a faucet. Had to fix like the cartridge in one of the valves, which.
Oh, that's annoying.
I feel like
I've done once, and then I think
I've done a cartridge for like a shower valve, but not for. It's like a real tiny one for a little.
For the sink
faucet. So that was kind of new.
Yeah, someone wanted me to do that a few months ago, and then I was like, just replace the whole thing.
Well, that was like, the unfortunate thing about it is like I ended up spending way too much time on it because I was just trying to fix it and like tighten it. I didn't know exactly what was wrong with it. And then I had already like put in an hour and a half, and I'm like, all right, you're gonna have to buy a new one. But then while I was at the store, I found the exact cartridge. I didn't think I would be able to find it.
Oh gosh!
I'm like, okay, now I gotta go back and fix it again. It worked, but it was like I ended up putting 2 hours into something that shouldn't cost more than the cost of a new one. So it's like I can't charge them.
Yeah, what do they cost? Like $50?
I mean, yeah, probably like $60-$70. So it's like I'm not gonna charge them more than that. So it's like kind of part of it was kind of wasteful, but it happens sometimes when you can't know exactly what's wrong with something.
Yeah, that's true. I think last show I mentioned how I got a few calls about fixing like irrigation lines, and I'm like, am I going to become the sprinkler guy now?
Okay.
And I think I have.
Do you like doing that?
I've done a lot of sprinklers the last couple weeks.
Okay.
Like I have no idea
That's
why.
funny. I mean,
like I never did before.
I haven't done it either, but I was working on a PVC to a sprinkler line this week too.
Yeah. I don't know what happened, but I got a lot of calls about just repairing sprinklers and replacing valves, and I was like, oh, might as well.
Yeah.
So I did, and it was actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
I liked diagnosing the sprinkler lines. I'm like, maybe I should get into this, but probably not. But everybody here, it's winter time, or it's almost winter time, so everybody's planting winter grass.
The winter grass, is that why you think?
Yeah, and I think the winter grass is especially susceptible to not getting even water distribution, so it's on top of mind.
What kind of glue do you use for PVC? Do you use that like two-part glue, or do you just use like a regular?
I just use a regular all-purpose one. Yeah, I don't know enough to know if that was bad or not. But.
No, I think that stuff works. I like to use the two-part stuff because it's kind of cool. It like melts the PVC and then it welds it together.
Well, I had one that was just one part and it did the same.
Yeah, it does do the same
but
thing.
Not quite the way the two-part
does.
The
two-part thing is just, one part's just to clean it. It's just like alcohol, that's all.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just, a little, just by cleaning it, makes it a little more for sure, but it's not totally necessary.
Well, and I just put a whole sprinkler line in my backyard. So that was, like, I was working for other people, but I was also working for myself this week, installing an entire sprinkler system. So that took ages.
Yeah. And also a sprinkler line, it's like, it's not having water pressure all day, every day. So it doesn't have to be
That's true.
totally perfect.
Just for a few minutes. Anyway, in addition to that, I had some other things that came up this week. I was realizing that we talked about cutting time down at Home Depot.
Yeah.
I've not been doing too good at that.
No.
I was like, I need to keep that in my mind again, because like there was one day I went to Home Depot 3 times for one job. And I was, that was like 2 hours out of my day. I was like, I really got to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Because I think I told myself, I looked on the map and I'm like, oh, it's only 10 minutes away. So I'm like, that's not a big deal if I had to run back and forth. But then I realized, like I timed it one time. I forgot to get a like bracket for a ceiling fan. Those things you can like twist and it'll extend across the trusses.
Right. Yeah.
They call them like a remodel bar. I got everything I needed, but I forgot one of those. So then I had to go back to Home Depot twice. I'm like, I'm going to time it this time, see how long it took me. It took me an hour, even though it was 10 minutes away.
Yeah, those trips really add a lot of time.
So it is really important to make sure you're not running back and forth to Home Depot. It really eats away at my day.
Got to watch that TAD time.
That's true. You put that in your estimates, don't you?
Yeah, TAD time. TAHD.
All right. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention. So I've been using I've been considering getting like a new tool or a new battery set. Like I was thinking about getting the Harbor Freight brand Hercules, but I never did. But then I was like, I think I'm going to stick with DeWalt, because I find DeWalt, like, I haven't used all their tools, but most of the tools I have lasted for a long time. But their batteries are like incredible.
Oh yeah.
Like they charge in 5 minutes and they last like 4 weeks. It's crazy.
I have a one of those tiny like DeWalt batteries on my drill. I feel like I charge it once a month. It's like pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and then I'm like,
and I use the drill
empty
every day.
Yeah, and then when it's empty, I'm like, oh, I have to recharge it, and it takes 5 minutes, like literally 5 to 10 minutes. It's crazy. So props to DeWalt, they're doing it right.
Yeah, I was actually working at someone's house, Justin, and he works for DeWalt, and he was talking about. He was just saying good things about them. Like apparently they're like the last like tool maker that like manufactures their stuff, or I don't know if manufacturers or I don't know exactly, but it's like one of the last like fully American tool brands. So they're definitely pretty good.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
He also said that I could get like a 50% discount. So you maybe want to ask him about that.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. I'll get you guys.
All right. Yeah.
Talk about that.
I'll have to consider that, because I'm definitely a fan. Well, like I said, I wanted to talk about some of my stories starting my business. So I think I'll just dive into that unless you have any other questions or thoughts.
Yeah, go for it.
So I mentioned on the show before, I started my business 3 years ago. And when I originally started, like I wasn't sure if I should. And it never had crossed my mind before that point to ever start my own business. Like me and you had been working together flipping houses for our friends who were doing the investing. And like I really liked it. And then when they stopped doing it, I was like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer. I got to find a new job. I don't know what I'm going to do. I remember looking into different positions because I was thinking about staying in the trades.
Okay.
But I was looking on Indeed or somewhere to see different job openings for like plumbing apprentice or like electrical work. And I think I saw like, $25, $30 an hour. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good money. But the workload was a lot. It was like $60 a week. And I think a lot of those jobs, like if I was to start at a plumbing company, I'd be like a grunt, you know what I mean? Like get all the work that nobody wants to do, probably work on weekends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that. I'm like, I don't really want to work 60 hours a week. I like $30 an hour is pretty good, but then I was thinking about, I bet if I did it myself, I could probably make more than that. But that was the first time it had ever crossed my mind that I could even work for myself.
Yeah.
And then I talked to my wife about it, and she was like, yeah, just like she was on board. She's like, go for it. And so I told her, I'm like, well, I might as well try. Like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and I can find another job. But I at least want to try it. And then when I started, it was like I just kept finding success, and then I would kind of get discouraged if there wasn't enough jobs coming in, but then more would come in, and just kind of just kept going. And now it's been 3 years, and now I'm starting to think about maybe scaling up or just being more proficient in my business. But yeah, I think it helped too, seeing you, because you did a lot of, when we were flipping houses even, you did a lot of jobs on the side for people.
Right.
Like Grant, back in the day, Grant was a major hustler.
Yeah,
Like,
it's really grand.
There was a lot of times where we would work from like 8 to 5 at a flip house, and then Grant would be like, all right, I got to run to another job. Like after we're done at 6, and he's going to work all night till like 1 a.m. on somebody's.
Okay, it didn't happen that often, but yeah, there's definitely many instances of like, yeah, I would have to work.
Yeah.
I would finish at like 5 or 6 and then go to another job until really late.
I knew I didn't want to work that much.
Yeah.
But I did know, like what it did put in my mind was there's a market for this.
Yeah.
Like Grant has a job, but there's people need like somebody that can do stuff like this so much that they're wanting to hire someone who already has a job to do it.
The demand's out there, yeah.
Yeah. So that would kind of put it in my head that there's clientele for my skills. Like even though I didn't feel like I had that many skills, I have way more skills than the average person. So there's a market for it. And yeah, anyway, it's just been working ever since. I've shared my first year, I made $55,000, and I was working like probably 30 hours a week on average. Which to me was great. I think I was hoping I'd be a little bit like I'd be making more than that now, but I haven't. And I had a lot come up this year. Like we had a baby, and
yeah,
I got sick for a whole month. That was a bummer. So stuff like that kind of set me back. But what I love about this business, and what I loved in the beginning, was it's kind of like in your hands. Like if I want to make more money, I can go out there and try and get more jobs. I can go print out more business cards and just run to every neighborhood I know and leave them on people's doorsteps, because I have gotten plenty of clients that way. And like if I really needed to work, I could just put in more effort and get it. Yeah. And I like that it's in my hands in that way. So that has always appealed to me.
Yeah, I mean, even just now that you've been doing it for a while, just the constant ability to just change your schedule around to whatever your needs are. Like now that you had your first kid, is like you've been able to help out probably more than you would have, having another job.
Yeah. I started in October of 2021. That was when I said, all right, I'm going to do this on my own. And first thing I did was I bought a bunch of tools. I didn't have that much money saved up. Like if people are listening like, well, I don't have enough money to buy tools. Like I did not have money. Like I had maybe $5,000 in the bank that I could use for this. And I just bought like a few tools, and I didn't even buy all the tools I needed. Like I didn't buy all the tools that I have now. I just bought like a few, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to take jobs that I can do with these jobs. And maybe eventually I'll have the money to buy more tools. I can expand my I don't know, bandwidth of jobs. But the first job I did was patching drywall on somebody's backyard patio.
Yeah,
I was the first one.
I had a question, like, yeah, how did you get like some of these first clients?
That one, I had just, I started my business and I kind of just texted like everybody I knew.
Okay.
I was like, I'm doing this business. If you have any work, let me know. It was kind of awkward, but it worked. Like I had a good amount of clients from right out of the gate because of that. Yeah, and so it was just some people, like I didn't know them super well. They were like some people who our parents know from way back, and so I didn't know them super well, but they just had reached out to me like, hey, we have some problem on our backyard patio. The drywall is all sagging and there's leaks. We fixed the roof, but the drywall is still ruined.
Yeah.
So I went out there and fixed it. It took me a couple days. And I remember that job I made about $30 an hour. And to me, I was like, wow, I made $30 an hour. This is crazy. I can't believe this worked so well. And now, like, if I make $30 an hour, I'm like upset. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then it was incredible because I'm like, it's working. Like I did this and I made I made like more money than I would have made had I been working for like a company. So that was super cool to me. And then after that, I remember talking to one of my parents' friends who was an electrician, and he asked me how much I charge per hour, and I was like, about $30 an hour. He's like, oh, you should do way more than that. I'm like, oh, really? Like, it never even crossed my mind to charge more. And he told me at least 60, and I was like, wow. I was like, that is unbelievable money. So that's what I started doing. But yeah, I just feel like so much of this stuff, and that's why we do the show, is like sometimes it just doesn't even cross your mind to do stuff like this. It doesn't even cross your mind to charge $60 an hour because you can. Like, because there's such a demand in the market, you can charge that much money, and people are happy to pay you to do good work. And it hadn't even crossed my mind to do this business until I realized that, like, well, Grant's done some jobs for people. I've done a few jobs here and there, so maybe I could make it a full-time gig. So yeah. It was a little hard starting out, like getting enough clients, I think. Like I mentioned, I texted everybody, and that was helpful for a while, but it kind of slowed down, especially 2022. I remember like November and December of 2022 was really bad. Like I made probably like $2,000 for those months. So yeah, that was a little discouraging, but that was when I started doing a lot more business cards just because I didn't have work. So I'm like, well, I got to do something. And that was kind of successful, but you know, you just try something. I did that. I remember putting a business card in a smoothie store, and they had like a cork board on the wall with business cards, and I just threw mine up there. And like a month later, I got a call from somebody. And literally 2 weeks ago, I just did a job for somebody. I worked all day and I made $900, and they were referred to me by the people who picked up my business card at that smoothie shop. So like stuff like that, you never know what's going to happen down the road just by doing something simple like business cards.
I was curious, like at the beginning, were you having to like turn down any jobs just because there's still stuff you didn't know how to do or didn't have tools, or were you just kind of making it work at the beginning and taking on whatever that came your way?
Yeah, at the beginning, I did everything anybody asked me to do.
Okay,
because I was like desperate for work.
Yeah, it's like I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I really was, and it actually ended up working well. Like I didn't really run into any trouble. I think there was probably a couple times where I was in over my head, but I always made it work. Like there's been plenty of times where I'm like there was a job I did, I remember early on, where it was like a lot of drywall in this really expensive house, like multiple $1 million home, and they wanted me to patch the ceiling. And I said yes to the project, gave them a bid. They said yes to my estimate. And then I'm like, well, what am I doing? Like, I can't screw this up. Like, this is a super nice house. Like, this is too much for me. Like, I'm not a professional like this. But then I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it work no matter what. And I had to redo a lot of things. Like I finished it up, painted it, realized it still wasn't good. I had to redo it. Like that stuff is annoying, but I ended up doing it well and making it work. And so stuff like that, where I just kind of said yes to everything, even if it stressed me out. And that one really stressed me out. But I'm glad I did, because I learned a lot, and just realizing that if I really put my head to it and try as hard as I can, most of the time I can make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like we've said on this podcast, like I feel like you and I both have like a pretty good ability to just problem solve. So I'm sure you can, even if you run into problems, like eventually you're going to find a way to figure it out.
Yeah.
With the limited tools that you may have had at the beginning as well.
I'm trying to think what else would be relevant to somebody about me starting out. I'm glad you mentioned like how I got my first clients.
Yeah.
That was, something I want to mention too about that is like, just embrace it. Like it was awkward. Like it's kind of awkward to like it feels like begging in a way of like, hey, I'm running this business. Do you have work? And it feels like like there was a couple jobs where I felt like people were just hiring me out of like to be nice, and I didn't love that feeling. Like I appreciated that they hired me, but I didn't like that feeling of like I felt like I was just kind of asking people for favors. But I needed to do it. Like it was super awkward.
Yeah.
Like if you're worried about it's going to be awkward starting out my business, people are going to know that. They're going to like just embrace it. Like it's going to be awkward, and it is what it is. And that's kind of how I got things rolling, and I needed that head start. Otherwise, like had I started out with business cards, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I probably would have given up. You know, I needed my network to start out.
It's also good to like kind of start with people that you semi know. So, you know, if anything does go wrong, at least you can talk through things with them and they're more understanding.
That's true. Yeah.
Especially starting out, like you may run into some more problems than you would, you know, knowing more later.
Definitely. So don't be afraid of the embarrassing weirdness of reaching out to people you know if you're going to start up your business. It just is what it is. And generally people, like, they don't care. Like, it's pretty normal for people to do that.
Yeah. And also people, you know, always have stuff to be done at their house. I'm sure it's like, even they're helping you out, it's like you're also doing, you know, good work fixing up stuff at their house. Like that's always something that I'm sure they want done anyway. So it's just a win-win for both parties.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I feel like I didn't prepare for this episode very well. It kind of sucks.
Well, I think it's going all right.
Maybe I had too much coffee. My head is like spinning right now. Yeah, I'm running a blank. What should we talk about next?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we just talk more about maybe your just ongoing business and have things changed a lot from the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, something I was thinking about this a lot this week is, how do I say this? Like, I don't have to work for poor people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I realized, I kept thinking, I had this mindset of like, I want to be able to do good work for people for a good price. And that's like, I think that's cool. Like I like that business model. I like that as far as like the economy goes, is like in capitalism, you know, like it's competition. And so prices go lower, and it's cool when you can get good product for a low price.
But when you're looking at your own like opportunity costs of doing, you know, like lower paying jobs, it's like, you're just not going to take those on.
I kept thinking like, man, how do I work for people who are lower income? Like I just did an estimate for somebody yesterday who, you know, you can tell when somebody doesn't have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Like their house is just a mess. Yeah. Like she had owned this house for like 20 years, older, like close to retirement. And I could just tell there's not a lot of money going around. And I was kind of realizing, I'm like, I don't think this is my type of client. Like, not to be rude to her, but I'm like, I don't think that I need to do this. Yeah. Because I was going to give her like, oh, maybe I could just give her a little bit lower of a price. And I'm like, I don't need to give her a lower price. I can find somebody who can actually afford my services. Right. And what kind of changed my mind about it was like, I can charge more of a premium, if you will, for people who want the convenience of a handyman. Like someone who doesn't have the like the income to just pay somebody to do stuff around their house, they'll find other ways to do it. Like if their toilet breaks, they may not be able to afford to just call me and say, hey, can you fix my toilet? Because that would be convenient. Maybe they have to call their cousin and say like, hey, I know you can fix toilets. Can you come fix my toilet? Yeah. Like people who are lower income, they'll find other ways to get things done. So it's not like necessarily that I have to feel bad that I'm not helping those people, because they'll find other ways. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sure. But somebody who has more money, they like the convenience of just texting me and be like, hey, something happened with the toilet. Can you swing by tomorrow and fix it? And I'm that guy. You know, I'm that guy for someone who makes $200,000 a year working for Intel, and they don't want to do stuff around their house because they don't have the time for it. And I'm happy to do that. You know, that's more my client, because the people who can't afford that, they'll find other ways. So I don't have to feel bad about it. Yeah. Does that make sense?
No, that's a good point. Yeah. Just kind of viewing it in that light, that it's not, you don't have to be doing this kind of work to like help everybody. It's like, you're also in it for your own money. And it's like, you can find higher paying clients. So
Yeah,
might as
because
well go
people
after
want
that.
like people that can afford.
It's not like you're the only option out there. So it's like if someone really wants to pay less, they can find someone who can charge less. They can find someone who can do that.
Yeah, they can go on Angie's List and find somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so that was something I've been thinking about a lot because I was like, I think I should do more advertising in like wealthier neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And because I think that's more of my clientele because they just want someone who's going to do good work and that they can trust to be reliable. And that's really all they want. They're not as concerned about how cheap I'm going to be. And that's what I prefer. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of one
that's
thing
something I've been thinking about
well.
changing is kind of changing my ideal client is like, not that I'm not going to work for people who are lower income, but I'm not going to like constantly be worrying about, am I charging too much? Am I going to be estimating too much? I want them to take my job. I'm like, just don't worry about it. Like, just charge your price. And if they say yes, they say yes. So I've been thinking about that. Long term, I've been kind of considering like the next 5-10 years. Like, am I just going to keep doing this? Like, should I consider hiring people? Should I consider like almost doing more of a focus? Like, what if I just focus on drywall? What if I just focus on flooring? What if I just focus on like something like that? You know what I mean? Because when I think about it, and this is part of why I've been thinking about it in that way, because like I said, I had a baby and I got sick in August through September. Like I literally was sick for a month and I couldn't work.
Right. It's
like I was incapacitated.
It's like when it's just you, your business shuts down.
Yeah. And so I didn't make any money for 2 months.
Yeah.
Cause I just couldn't, like, cause if I'm not working, I'm not making money. And I was like, I don't know if that is something I can sustain long term. Like I think I need just for, we had a kid, we're planning on having more kids. Like I need to have more of a consistent income.
Right.
And if me being sick means our family isn't making any money, like that's not ideal. So I was like, all right, well, I think if I'm going to be making money when I'm sick, I'm going to have people working for me. And then I'm like, well, if I hire people to work with my handyman business, it's really hard to teach someone to be a handyman, And I could hire somebody who has all my skills, but then I have to pay them a lot.
Yeah. Right.
Like anybody that has all the skills that me and you do, like if I was to hire you, I'd have to pay you like $70 an hour or more.
I'm not going to go.
You're not going to work for me.
I'm not going to go work for you for $30.
You can make 3 times that.
Right.
So I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense because then if I pay somebody too much, then I'm not making any money. But I also can't hire someone who doesn't know anything because then it's going to take me months and months to train them. And what if they're not even good at it? So then that made me think, what if I focus on something?
Yeah, just
specialize in like flooring or drywall. Yeah, I don't know. And I've made no decisions about it. I'm just mentioning it on the show because I'm like, I was talking about where I came from and where I'm going. And that's kind of on my brain lately, where I'm going. But I decided this week that I'm like, I need to table that for now. Like, figuring out if I should transition to like flooring or a specialization and hiring people. I think right now I need to work on making my handyman business like smooth because it's not right now.
Yeah, there's still.
I'm like, I can't worry about scaling if I'm not doing this well.
There's still work to be done just to not perfect, but like improve your business as it is now.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done.
I certainly know I can do plenty of that.
Yeah.
Just more organization in most of the stuff I do.
So I'm going to start there. That's what I decided.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can have more discussions later about if I'm going to focus on specializing and hiring people. But for now, I'm like, I want to have a good website. I want to have good reviews. I want to have good referrals from people. I want to make sure I have enough leads. I want to make sure that I'm organized, like I want to be able to have like prices that I can give people like, hey, I need to hang a ceiling fan. I just send them an estimate, like $75, just like make it super smooth, the process of everything. And I'm not there at all yet. So I'm going to start with that. So we can figure that out as we do the show and hear about my process of trying to improve my, my business skills, not so much my handyman skills.
Right. I'm just curious on the topic of like specialization. Does it? I haven't considered it too much of like changing my business up in that way.
Yeah.
But every time I do kind of like worry about just doing the same thing over and over every day. I do really love the aspect of handyman work where it's like it's a new challenge every time. Whereas if you specialize, you run into similar problems just constantly, and it's just there's not a whole lot of change.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is, some, but it just seems like less so.
I think you're right. I think that's part of why I enjoy my job so much is it's like a new challenge every day.
Yeah.
That's part of why it's hard too. Because I think that's mainly why we're so bad at like estimating jobs is because every day it's a whole new obstacle. But that's hard to come up with pricing. But it's also more fun.
It's more fun. It's like, I guess it's just more fun, but it's also hard to, make things super efficient because you never know what you're going to run into, really.
Yeah. But to be honest, I hadn't really thought about that. Like if I made enough money doing flooring, I don't think I would care. True. If I was like making lots of money,
right.
I think that would more than compensate the annoyance of having to do the same thing every day. But also if I did it really well and was able to hire people and train them well, then it wouldn't be me doing the work every single day. Maybe I could still do some of my handyman stuff on the side, so I wouldn't just have to be doing that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. This is all hypothetical. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the story. Started from nothing. Here I am.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I was making $16 an hour before when we were flipping houses.
Was that it?
That's all, dude.
I mean, I wasn't making a ton, but I was making more than you. So
yeah, I know you were. I was bitter. No, I wasn't actually.
I
don't really mind either because I learned so much. It was like it more than paid for itself.
It was like every day was like a learning experience and learning new skills.
So that was like almost part of my pay.
Right.
It's like I was getting paid to learn how to do things, which most people don't have the opportunity to do.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I went from that to now I'm like literally making most of the time, if I do it right, I'm making $80 an hour or more. So that's a night and day different. And it's not like I'm an incredible businessman. Like I'm just an average guy. Mm-hmm. So totally doable, guys. Well, do you have anything else to add before we go to our final question?
No, I just think it's like part of why we are and try to encourage people to be in this business is like there is a demand for it. So like you were saying, you can find higher paying clients just because the demand's so big. It's like, you there's a lot of room for more people to be in this business. So definitely anyone should go for it if they're thinking about it.
There's a lot of room. Yeah. Yeah. I remember listening to this podcast. This was a while ago. I think it was NerdWallet Smart Money podcast.
Okay.
And they did an episode about like, I don't think the whole episode was about it. They mentioned it on the episode about like the gap in tradesmen. Like so many people have gone to college in our generation that there is a huge gap in the market of people that do trades.
Yeah, I always hear that like there's so many people that are going to retire in the next like 10 years that there's going to be a huge lack of labor.
And I think that'll take a long time to correct probably. Mm-hmm. So I think it's great for us and for people who listen to the show that are considering this because there's going to be a big gap in the market
like,
for a while, which means
we'll be there in that dip of like the amount of people in it. So like the demand will be much higher.
The demand's going to be huge. So you can afford to charge more and not that you're scamming people, but like it's scarce.
Yeah.
So you can't, if you're going to be in such high demand, you need to be able to price accordingly. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll be great for people who are considering this. All right, final question. I didn't come up with anything. You got anything?
Oh, no, sorry.
I thought I wrote something down and I looked at my notes and I had nothing.
Sorry, I nothing's. Yeah, I didn't write anything down. I don't know. I mean, unless you can think of anything, we could just talk about some other job you've done this week. I feel like I've done some other stuff.
Oh, tell me.
I mean, like I just finished up. It was kind of a fun project where I did like a built-in kind of bookshelf and cabinet work.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's just like I really do like the carpentry kind of work where
Was
it's
this
just
in, like,
it's
a
just
kitchen?
more like by the time it's done, it's like, oh, this looks really good,
Yeah.
and it's like, you know, a huge like part of just this one room. It's like it changes the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I find those really, really fun projects, is carpentry kind of stuff, finished carpentry.
Was it like in a kitchen or like a living room? What was the?
It was like an office kind of room, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what they're going to use it for, but yeah, it was like one entire wall of just, you know, bookshelves and then cabinets underneath it and a little countertop.
That sounds like a lot. How long did it take you?
I mean, that project specifically, probably maybe a week and a half or something. Maybe a week.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more. Yeah.
Nice. Well, cool.
Yeah. I mean, have you done anything else of interest?
Nothing really notable. Yeah. Yeah, it's been kind of a slow week, to be honest.
Oh,
Not
I
like
was
super slow, but
I was
not
curious
anything
about.
big.
You said you were going to do some winter grass in your backyard. Did you ever get to that?
I finally planted it.
Oh, nice. Is it growing pretty good?
No.
Oh,
Well, I don't think it's anything wrong with the seed. I planted it like 2 days ago.
you
so
think
it
it's?
hasn't
You
germinated
said
yet.
the ground was like super hard.
I
Is
think
that part of
once it sprouts, it'll be fine. But the problem is I realized that when I put the sprinklers in, I buried the lines and everything, and then I realized that there wasn't enough pressure in the water. Like there wasn't enough water pressure for the sprinkler heads, so I put too many heads on.
I see.
Only 2 valves, and each valve has 9 heads, which usually is fine. But my house has super low water pressure.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to have to add 2 more valves so that I only have 4 and 5 heads on each valve or each system. So that was a kind of a bummer.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
But,
redo part of it.
Yeah, but I got the seed in, and most of it's covered by the sprinklers, so it's not like a terrible situation. But yeah, I'm going to have to redo that. I'm actually probably going to redo that tonight. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. This was not the best prepared episode, but hopefully it was it was still helpful.
No, it was
Next
wasn't
week.
Too bad.
Next week I will I'm excited about some of the topics I want to discuss, and I'm trying to set up I want to do an interview with some people that have started their own businesses.
Okay.
So I think that would be cool. And we have a show coming up with another handyman podcast, so that'll be fun.
Yes, we do.
Anyway, exciting stuff, everybody. We will
Cool.
see you in a couple weeks.
Bye.
And you got me that way.